Good evening, all the aspirants present here. So, today's topic is cardiology, and the speaker that we have here is Dr. Manidipta Majumder, ma'am. Aspirants, this is going to be a very interactive session. You can also unmute your mic or you can also type in the chat box. Thank you. Ma'am, you can take over. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first session of cardiology part of your MRCP part 1 and part 2 learning and preparation. So I'll just introduce myself. I'm Dr. Manidipta Majumder. I'm an interventional cardiologist. I currently practice in Bangalore. So we'll begin with talking a little about MRCP part 1, part 2, and PACES. Cardiology section will be important for all three of the exams. For MRCP Part 1 and Part 2, there are two papers with 100 MCQs each, as you all know. MRCP Part 1 is more straightforward. These are fast solved MCQs. Won't take much time. It's mostly fact based. And according to the previous records, the pass rate is around 50 to 60%. MRCP Part 2 has a higher pass rate, but I'll come to that. MRCP Part 2, as I understand, is slightly more difficult exam because it has clinical scenario based questions. And these options of the MCQs are more like best of five or best of four options. Not all of the options might be wrong, but there will be one best choice which you'll have to select. The pass rate in MRCP 2 is around 60 to 70%, which is very good, but that is mostly because many of the part aspirants they cross MRCP part 1 and never sit for part 2. And as you know, PACES is probably the most difficult of the all three exams of MRCP, which has 5 stations and 8 interactions, and it will involve a lot of cardiology work and learning and examination skills and all. So, without much further ado, I'll proceed. If you have any questions about the pattern and everything, please feel free to ask me. Not much has changed in MRCP 1 and 2. A lot has changed in PACES. So, today's objectives are we'll review the cardiac anatomy and embryology, learn about cardiac physiology, that is, cardiac cycle, heart sounds, and murmurs, discuss some common valvular and congenital lesions, and apply knowledge with MCQs and clinical scenarios. So, I'll begin with a question, and I will really like everyone to be very interactive. You can answer anything, even if it is wrong, it's fine. This is just a discussion. The first question is: a patient with long-standing mitral stenosis presents with progressive dysphagia. Which structure is mostly enlarged to cause this symptom? Would anyone care to answer? You can unmute yourself and answer.
Yeah, left atrium.
Left atrium. Yeah, that is the correct answer. Hello? Yes? Hello, I'm hearing some noise. If there is a discussion, I'll appreciate if people talk one by one. Just give me a moment. The laptop is stuck. Mm, mm. Yeah, so the answer is indeed left atrium. The left atrium enlarges and presses posteriorly over the esophagus. And there is dysphagia while swallowing. So coming to the gross anatomy of heart, borders of the heart, as you all know, I have kept a X-ray on the side. This is a normal X-ray of a completely normal individual because most of these border questions they come in reference to the X-ray. Right border is formed mainly by the right atrium here, and some part is formed by the SVC above and IVC below. So on chest X-ray, it runs from third to sixth costal cartilages. Third to sixth costal cartilages. If it is larger than that, if it like occupies a larger area, then there is suspicion of right atrial enlargement. This border is formed mainly by the left ventricle. It extends from the second costal cartilage to the apex. On chest X-ray, forms the main left cardiac contour. What are the other structures that form? That is the aortic knuckle, then the pulmonary bay, which is a concave area, normally concave or straight area, and then the left atrial appendage, and then the left ventricle. These are the four things that forms the left border of the heart. Okay, so this left auricle, we don't call it auricle anymore, we call it left atrial appendage. So inferior diaphragmatic border is formed by right ventricle majorly and by left ventricle partially in the apical side. It rests on the central tendon of the diaphragm, and superior border is formed by the right and left atria with auricles projecting forward. Surfaces of the heart and relations, this we need to remember any of the symptoms that this valvular heart disease or chamber enlargement produce. So anterior sternocostal surface is formed mainly by the right ventricle, and hence clinically when we take lateral x-rays, then this space between the sternum and the heart, when it is obliterated, we call it right ventricular enlargement. Inferior diaphragmatic surface is formed by the left ventricle in 2/3 and right ventricle by 1/3, rest on the central tendon as told earlier as well. Left or the pulmonary surface is formed mainly by the left ventricle related to the left lung and the pleura. Right pulmonary surface formed by the right atrium related to right lung and pleura. And posterior surface or the base is formed by the left atrium majorly, here the left atrium majorly, and part of right atrium, receives pulmonary veins and SVC and IVC related posteriorly to the esophagus. Here we can see in this diagram is related to the esophagus, the descending thoracic aorta, the thoracic vertebra from T5 to T8. So all these structures can be affected with a left atrial enlargement. The posterior surface of the left atrium, the pulmonary veins, all these are extrapericardial structures. The rest of the heart is enclosed in the pericardium. So this is the gross anatomy. This is how the heart actually looks. It's quite a healthy heart. So you can see the auricles are projecting. Usually the atrium do not form the borders. The auricles do. This is right atrial appendage. These are the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery lies anterior, and hence any turbulence of flow in the pulmonary artery is better heard than the aortic sounds. And any normal increase in flow in the pulmonary arteries will also produce murmur, even though there may not be any disease, like in young children, in hyperdynamic states. So this is the left ventricle, right ventricle, infundibulum. These are the grooves, right AV groove. These are the acute margin. This is the anterior interventricular groove. We'll come to the structures that run through there. I'm sure all of you already know. It's just a recapitulation. This is the ascending aorta, and this is the pulmonary artery related in a twisted way. Why is it so? We'll come to the embryology part as well. I will be skipping the normal movement of the blood through the heart. I hope everybody knows it. Blood comes from the two systemic veins, SVC and IVC, and drains into the right atrium, which again drains the blood into the right ventricle. In between, we have the tricuspid valve, which has three cusps and lots of chorditendinae, which attaches to the papillary muscles in the wall of the right ventricle. And this blood again goes through the pulmonary valve into the main pulmonary trunk, which divides into the right and the left main pulmonary arteries, and which further divides into branches. This pulmonary valve is a semilunar valve. And again, one point to mention is tricuspid valve is the largest valve of the body, and pulmonary valve is the smallest valve of the body. And from the lungs, the oxygenated blood will come to the left atrium through the four pulmonary veins, two superior, two inferior pulmonary veins, and then go into the left ventricle via the mitral valve. Mitral valve is a bicuspid valve with an anterior and posterior cusp. Again, has many chorditendinae and papillary muscles. Two papillary muscles here, three papillary muscles here. Uh, uh, and from this blood again goes through the aortic valve into the into the ascending aorta, into the arch of aorta, and these are the arch branches. Can anyone tell me about the arch branches? What are the arch branches? Am I audible? here the arch branches are not named. Can anybody tell me what are the branches, the blood vessels that come out of the aortic arch traditionally? Yeah,
Left main, left main coronary artery from the aortic sinus.
yeah, from the sinus, the coronary arteries come out, and then these three, the ones I'm pointing at with my arrow, arch branches. Yes, one of you speak, please.
Subclavian artery,
Yeah, this is the which subclavian artery comes out from the arch?
left one.
left,
The left one. So this one, left subclavian. Then this one is
left carotid probably.
yes, left common carotid. Huh? Be very
Left, yeah,
specific. Left common carotid, and this one is the
this
brachiocephalic trunk.
breaker, yeah.
Yeah, which divides again into the right common carotid upwards and the right subclavian artery, right?